Good morning, everyone. Good to see a bunch of you guys jumping on. Hey, Margaret and Sean and Alison, James, Alexis, Graham. Morning to you guys. How do you like my new sign? Put up my new sign on the weekend. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Good to see all of you guys on this morning while everything's warming up. Do the quick intros. Morning, Hardick. How are you, mate? Anyone who doesn't know, there it is. Name's Jason Whitten. Most of you guys do know, but thanks, mate. Yep, looking professional now. Thanks, Pratesh. Been property investing over 20 years, coaching property investors just like you over 18. So welcome along to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Something started a couple of years ago, and Monday to Friday, normally around about 8:10 or 9:10, depending on where you are. Get together with you guys, bunch of crazy property investors just like me, and we talk a little bit about the idea of investing in real estate, going the distance, as we say around here. This thing's a marathon, not a sprint, and it's all about the idea of buying well and not needing to sell as a property investor. We want to go the distance. So welcome along. Thanks for the shout-outs, Sean, Hardick, Gabrielle, good morning to you guys. Yep. Taking it seriously now. Once you've got a neon sign, it's all up from there. That's what they say in the game of entertainment. But hey, listen, today I wanted to talk to you guys about the idea of borrowing, lending, or understanding a little bit about the infrastructure that's set up in Australia to lend us money as property investors. That it's such a big subject, but I thought we'd talk about the idea of types of different lenders in Australia. Hey, have a quick guess. Some of you guys might know the answer to this one, but if you're listening in, how many lenders are there in Australia that you can lend money from? Not the bikies or anything like that, but lenders, genuine lenders that are registered lending companies in Australia. How many? Chuck that in the chat. Alison's boom on it. Arctic's boom. Righto. All over it like a rat up a drain pipe or something like that, they say. The number is 113 at last count. And Alison's there. She's locked that one away in her brain. There's 113 lenders in Australia. And we as property investors need to understand how we can get access to those lenders and how we strategize when it comes to our ability to borrow and get a piece of that lending action when it comes to building our property portfolio. So let's dive into it today. Let's see what's going on. Here we go. 113 lenders, folks, and they are on that list there, and there's probably one or two more that are floating around. There you go, Alexis. Yeah. So it's actually a really important thing to sort of note. Hey, morning, Chris. Alexis, your thoughts are very common. A lot of borrowers, a lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of lenders out there, and for many of us, we might sort of think that's it, we're done, we're dusted, and we can't borrow anymore. So how do we take advantage of that? What do we do as property investors? How do we sort of navigate our way through this? And why does it matter? A few things to understand and note here. So on a sort of hierarchy of lenders, okay. If we look at kind of like a little hierarchy of lenders here, and we think about this landscape right now, what the language that's used in the marketplace, the Westpac and Macquarie, the language that used in the marketplace is main banks and non-banks. Okay, so What do you guys think? Just chuck it in the chat. Hardek sort of saying a couple of bank names there. But what would you call a main bank or a prime lender in Australia? A prime bank. And in here, if we have a look, I'll put my glasses on so I can see that one as we go. The main lenders in Australia, the main banks that everyone sort of would know, ANZ, where is it? CBA. Where's CBA? Can't see you here. Combank. You got Westpac. You've got NAB, Macquarie. Where's Macquarie? Macquarie Bank, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So these are the big four, the big five. Yeah, it is usually the big four that gets talked about all the time. So CBA, NAB, ANZ, and Westpac. Westpac team. All right. So these are the big four lenders that most people think about, talk about, whatever it might be. And they're the main lenders. They're the primary lenders in Australia. Now, the thing with the prime lenders, which is there's some pros and cons to these ones. The pros of the prime lenders, often they are very competitive for your first loan when it comes to your PPR. All right, so usually you've got a low interest rate, quite attractive, and sometimes pretty good for the first investment property. Okay, and those guys are pretty good. Now, one of the issues with the main four lenders, folks. What's the big issue with the main four lenders? Anyone run into this one before? They'll lend you some more money. They will sometimes say, yeah, here, have some more money. But they do a couple of things that that we don't like. Okay. That new bank, Sanchita. Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of lenders potentially coming out now. Sometimes they might be a lender, Sanchito, but they're actually a brand or a sub-brand of another bank or lender. Okay, so as we go, yeah, they do push you around a bit, Sean. For some of us, as we want to buy more and more things, Chris nailed it right there. They do a little thing called cross collateralize, or cross securitize, collateral or securitize, or they do what's called an all monies clause. Okay. Now that's the way these lenders operate, and for that, which means they will take all the security you got. They want you to have your savings account with them. They want you to have their car loan with them, a credit card with them, your home with them, an investment property, all bundled together. The problem with that is that holds you back. The loan to value ratios, I'm not going to dive into that one today. The loan to value ratios, LVRs, are restricted often by those lenders when it comes to you and getting more and more investment properties. So the next layer of lending that we consider, these are the sort of the mains, the big four, the primes, and then there's a layer of non-bank. Okay, non-bank. Now, non-bank lenders is just a fancy way of saying that they don't hold deposits. They're not deposit-holding institutions, all right? So let's just zoom in here and have a look at a couple of classics up here. Liberty and Latrobe, okay? They're classic ones in that sort of stuff. First Mac, classic one in that non-bank space that I've used, heaps of time. Bluestone. Who else have we used? AFM, Australia First Mortgage, as we go along. So there's a number of lenders in there that would be non-bank. You go second tier banks and then non-banks. Let's rub that out actually. You go your second tier and then non. All right, so your second tier banks are your defense bank and your greater bank and your credit unions and those sorts of things. And then you got your non-banks, which is the Liberties and Latrobes, First Mac, Resi Mac, et cetera, Bluestone. Now, these usually are good for your main loans. And then what do you guys think these non-bank and second-tier lending banks might be good for? Put that in the chat. Someone said something before there, and I saw, they do sometimes they do have higher interest rates, Chriso, some of these second-tier and non-bank lenders. But Hardik said it before in the chat. What are these other type of lenders good for? The non-bank lenders, the second-tier lenders, second-tier banks. What do they usually provide? Often better than the main banks. Yep. Yes, exactly. Alison, my fifth and sixth properties. Yes. But what those lenders do, Hardik. Yep. Low doc lending, lend more money at better LVRs. Totally they do. So these other lenders will, get into low doc. Okay. They'll get into higher LVRs, loan to value ratios, lower or different servicing. Okay. Servicing ratios. Okay. So when we're looking at building our portfolio, that's it, Sanchez, higher debt to interest calculations, interest only more often, etc. Exactly. So when you think about it, team, when you think about building your portfolio, we're thinking about the lenders we're going to use. Just remember that, okay? Remember, everyone thinks it's about the real estate, and often good real estate's going to get you, an outcome long term. But if you can't borrow money, then it's all hot air and sunshine, isn't it? It's all hot air and sunshine. So let's think about this, because the idea, if you look here in different ways, we talked about servicing a minute ago. The difference on this is pretty significant when it comes to the difference in servicing. Over $100,000 plus difference when you take the same person with an income and you go across different lenders, right? And, there's a pretty significant difference between buying an investment property for $403,000 compared to buying an investment property for $570,000, okay? Yeah. Dead right, Alison. Dead right. Sometimes you're just better off saving an extra 50 grand, over a year or so if you can, or do some, clever maneuvers if you can save. Sometimes buying an investment property off the plan 2 or 3 years away, you lock in today's price and you save over those 2 or 3 years. There's a few ways to do it these days. Sit down with your coach and strategize. But, understanding how to build our portfolio must come with an understanding of how to build our finance access to finance. So what do? Think about it in these ways. If we're looking, let's say a hierarchy of lending. So, we might use the big four for a PPR plus an investment property, an IP. Okay. So, this might be Westpac and that might be ANZ. Okay. Again, we don't put them all in one bundle, folks, as we go along. We might be able to, as we go along, maybe as we go to our second layer of servicing, our second layer of strategizing, we might get CBA in there for an investment property, an IP, but then you might look at, Resi Mac and, Bluestone, for, IP number 1, IP number 2, IP number 3, and Resi does a good SMSF loan. So you get that's IP number 4. And, right up here, you might do Liberty, for IP number 5. Okay. So as you build, and that's just, just a plucked out of the air type of example, folks, as you build, think about not only the types of properties, but think about the lenders that you're going to use. And a good finance broker, any of them worth their weight, will be, when you tell them, hey, I'm going to build a portfolio, they'll help you strategize when it comes to putting together the lineup of the people you're going to borrow from as you go when it comes to borrowing and going for it. Anyway, hopefully that made sense today, folks. Thought I'd just quickly touch base on that one because, there's talk about interest rates going up and they're probably going to go up a little bit. Nothing to be worried about. All of you guys will have already put aside buffers and gearing up, getting ready to put your rents up. You should be putting your rents up. I've been talking about this for months and months now. Put your rents up in advance, right? We can cut this stuff off at the pass, claim your taxes back in your PAYG variations, and make sure that you unlock your equity, get your servicing going, all those sorts of things. Anyway, that's it. Got Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. Monday, marvelous Monday. Hope you guys are awesome and well. Just remember, the number of lenders, you'll use a number of different lenders and avoid, like the plague, cross-securitization, cross-collateralization, all monies clauses. Don't have that stuff in the mix. And make sure you work with a good quality broker who's looking into the future for you and making sure you can get access to your money and spreading your risk across different lenders to make sure you can move forward as a property investor team. All right, that's it. Done and dusted. Wealth Coffee Chat over and out for Monday the 14th. Join me tomorrow for another Wealth Coffee Chat. You guys be awesome and well. Have a great rest of your day, team, and bye for now.